So let us discuss about the ninth topic. So I hope you all following the lectures and you are getting the benefit from these lectures. So a kind of sincere effort from my side to make you understand, to make you confident about NEET physics. So in the same way, let us discuss about the ninth topic, that is rotation about a fixed axis. In the previous topic we have discussed about torque and angular momentum. Whatever torque we are talking, the torque actually produces the rotational motion. Force causes linear or translational motion, torque causes rotational motion. Now here, what are the points? What are all the things you need to remember to understand first rotation about a fixed axis? Consider a rigid body, because here we are talking about rigid body rotation about a fixed axis. So what is the meaning of rigid body? A object or body, when it is moving, the distance between any two parts of the object remains same. There is no shift in the position of parts of the body. That kind of strong body, what we call it as rigid. It is rigid. So, like if you consider liquid, it will flow. But if you consider a stone, it is very tight. That kind of object, what we call it as rigid. Now you consider a rigid body. For example, a solid sphere or disc, anything. Now, consider for example a uniform rod hinged at one end. Now, allowed to rotate about this fixed axis. Now it is coming down. After some time, it reaches another position. You consider one small portion at point A, another at B. Now they shifted here. Now A is here, B is here. The distance of A is RA, the distance of B is RB. From the point of reference or from the axis of rotation. From the axis of rotation, I consider 2 points from fixed axis at distances RA and RB. So, the best example is ceiling fan, which is rotating about the fixed vertical axis. Like that, I have taken now one rod. So, the rod is hinged at one end and it is rotating about that end. Now, the angular velocity for any part of the body is same. Why? Because the definition is omega equal to theta by t. See, this part covered this much angle, this part also covered the same angle. Same angle they covered, they rotated through same angle in same time interval, so that the angular velocity is same for both of them. But we have studied the relation between linear velocity and angular velocity, that is r omega. So VA is RA omega, VB is RB omega. Now VA, VB, if you compare, as RA less than RB, VA less than VB. So the very first thing what I would like to conclude is, for a rigid body rotating about a fixed axis, the each and every part of the body when you consider, they must have same angular velocity but different linear speed. That is what the one important thing you should remember first, the basic thing. Then only will enter into all the things. Now one more thing what I said, the torque is the one which produces the rotational motion, which we have studied in the previous topic. So based on the torque and based on the rotation motion, we will get the questions. But before entering to that, we need to understand what are all the quantities required to solve the questions related to rotation about a fixed axis. So by comparing translational motion and rotational motion, we can understand it. What are all the formulas required? Translational motion means the motion which causes from force. Rotational motion is the one which causes from torque. So force is the reason behind this, torque is the reason behind this. And here the inertia we will measure with mass m, and here the inertia we will measure with moment of inertia, that is capital I. So one of the important thing to solve the questions based on rotation about fixed axis is moment of inertia. Let me give you a brief introduction. That is, the moment of inertia of a point object about a reference axis is mr square, where r is the perpendicular distance of the point from the mass. If there is a system of point masses, then the total moment of inertia is sum of moment of inertia of all the particles, so on. And for a rigid body, if you consider, the moment of inertia depends upon the mass distribution, and we have some regular shapes, like if you consider the ring, about its central axis, the moment of inertia we have calculated as mr square, and about the same axis for disc, the moment of inertia is mr square by 2, and for a sphere about any diameter, the moment of inertia is 2 by 5 mr square in case of solid sphere, 2 by 3 mr square in case of hollow sphere. This is about sphere, and that is, of course, that is a separate topic. You all knew it. Try to remember each and everything. But one more thing, let me explain here. Applying the parallel axis theorem to find the moment of inertia. For any rigid body, if they are asking the moment of inertia about one unknown axis, and if that unknown axis is parallel to the axis which is passing through center of mass of the rigid body, and you know the moment of inertia of center of mass about this central axis, they are asking the moment of inertia about one unknown axis. And if you know the moment of inertia about another axis, but that must pass through center of mass and that must be parallel to this one, then the moment of inertia about unknown axis will become ICM plus mass of the rigid body times square of the perpendicular distance. Similarly, for a planar object, you can apply perpendicular axis theorem. What is the perpendicular axis theorem is? For a planar object, if you imagine two perpendicular axes within the plane of the object, and the moment of inertia about x and y is Ix Iy, then the sum of moment of inertia about x and y equal to the moment of inertia about z axis. So here the moment of inertia about z axis is sum of the moment of inertia about x and y, which are perpendicular as well as which are within the plane of object, and this theorem is called perpendicular axis theorem. So that is one of the important. Let me just explain one example. Suppose you consider thin uniform rod. What is the moment of inertia? Consider a thin uniform rod, and the moment of inertia about its central axis is ml square by 12, where m is mass, l is length. Then about the edge, means about an axis passing through edge, perpendicular to its length, the moment of inertia, if you have to find, you can apply parallel axis theorem, because these two are parallel and this one is known one passing through center of mass. So I will become ICM plus MR square. ICM is ML square by 12 plus M into L by 2 whole square. So it will become ML square by 3. So this way you can apply parallel axis theorem and perpendicular axis theorem in solving the questions related to moment of inertia. Why? Because when you want to deal with the questions related to rotation about a fixed axis, there you get the relations in terms of moment of inertia. Then you have to find moment of inertia. That's why I explained in a brief manner. So remember moment of inertia of each object and try to practice the parallel axis theorem application and perpendicular axis theorem application. Now the comparison, let us go back to the comparison, the second one. Here linear displacement, here angular displacement. This is S, this is theta. Here the body rotates, so it rotates by some angle. That angle we call it as theta. And here the linear velocity, that is V. Here angular velocity, that is omega. And here linear acceleration A, here angular acceleration alpha. Here the velocity is delta S by delta t or ds by dt. Average means delta S by delta t, instantaneous is ds by dt. Similarly, here omega is delta theta by delta t and d theta by dt. Average, instantaneous. And here acceleration is delta v by delta t and dv by dt. Similarly, here alpha is delta omega by delta t comma dv omega by dt. And here for uniform acceleration there are three equations: v equal to u plus at, s equal to ut plus half at square, v square minus u square equal to 2as. Similarly, here for constant angular acceleration, omega equal to omega naught plus alpha t and theta equal to omega naught t plus half alpha t square and omega square minus omega naught square equal to 2 alpha theta. So in place of s, theta is coming. In place of v, omega is coming. In place of a, alpha is coming. This is the kinematical equations and comparison between rotational motion and translational motion. So this is nothing but kinematics of rotational motion. Let us consider the other relations. You can consider like dynamics also. Now translational motion and rotational motion. So here linear momentum, that is mass into velocity. Here angular momentum, that is r perpendicular into p or else mv r sin theta, that is angular momentum. Here force is dp by dt or mass into acceleration, who causes translational motion. But here torque causes the rotational motion, that is dl by dt. That will become I into alpha, m I a alpha. So if you remember these things, then you can get these relations also. Now here kinetic energy is half mv square, then here kinetic energy is half I omega square, and this is also equal to p square by 2m. This will become p means l square, m means I. So this way you can compare. And one more thing, work done here is F bar dot S bar for constant force or integration F ds. Similarly, here if you consider work done, tau bar dot theta bar and integration tau d theta. And here power equal to dw by dt, nothing but for constant force F bar dot V bar, and here power equal to dw by dt equal to tau bar dot omega bar. So this way, if you compare and understand the difference between translational equation and rotational equation, then you can it becomes easier to solve the questions related to rotational motion. That's why I made a comparison between translational motion and rotational motion. Of course, one more thing also I forgot. For a rigid body, when you consider, the angular momentum is I omega, because see here m means I, v means omega. So this is the way. Try to remember all the required formulas. Now we understood the meaning of rotation about a fixed axis, and we have taken all the required formulas which are helpful in solving the questions. Now let us try to understand few questions based on this concept, so that how can we use this data or formulae in solving the questions related to rotation about a fixed axis. We have been discussing about the rotation about a fixed axis. So I told you one thing is you have to remember that omega is same for every part of the body, and to solve the questions based on rotation about a fixed axis, moment of inertia concept is also important, and apart from that, torque concept, because that is the one which is responsible for rotational motion. Now let us take few questions to understand whatever data we have taken, how to apply it, how better way we can use those formulae, so that we can solve the questions related to rotation about a fixed axis. Let me discuss the very first question related to finding moment of inertia. There are two solid spheres, each of mass m and radius r, and they joined with a massless rod. This rod is massless, so there is no moment of inertia for the rod. Now the separation between the centers of the two spheres is 2r, they are given. Then find the moment of inertia about the central axis passing through the midpoint and perpendicular to the rod. Now this is like a center of mass of these two, because both are having same mass. Now the moment of inertia of the system is I1 plus I2. I1 is moment of inertia 1, I2 is moment of inertia of other. But I1 equal to I2. Why? Because I1, I2, if you consider, both are solid spheres, both masses are m, both radius is r, and both centers are at a perpendicular distance capital R from the axis of reference. So that's why I1 equal to I2. Now you consider any one sphere. This is their diameter. We know the moment of inertia of diameter actually 2 by 5 mr square. But we want the moment of inertia about this unknown axis, this one, which is at a perpendicular distance of r, and these two are parallel. Then immediately we can take the parallel axis theorem that this unknown moment of inertia equal to moment of inertia about central axis plus 2 by 5 mass into square of the distance, that is this one 2 by 5 mr square plus m into what is the perpendicular distance, mr square. So what is the moment of inertia will become 7 by 5 mr square. This is the moment of inertia of one sphere about the given axis. But there are two similar such spheres. So the I1, I2 both are equal to, let's take this is I1. So I1, I2 both are 7 by 5 mr square. So the total moment of inertia will become I1 plus I2. How much it is? 14 by 5 mr square. So this way you can solve the questions. Now whatever this finding moment of inertia is there, now it will become like a part of question when you deal with the questions related to rotation about a fixed axis. Let me take 2-3 questions. one of the important model that is based on rotation of a rod. Rigid rod having length L. So consider a rod of length L. Now it is rotating about one of its end. There are two different situations. One is, the first situation is the rod is hinged at one end and allowed to fall from the horizontal position. Then what is the immediate angular acceleration and what is the angular velocity when it become vertical? It is horizontal. When it become vertical, what is the angular velocity? Similarly, if you consider the second question, see here, the rod is above the horizontal level at some angle 30. When it become horizontal, then what is the angular velocity? You can try it this question when you understand this question. So let me explain this question first. So the first thing, the rod is hinged at one end. When they are asking alpha, angular acceleration of a rigid rotating body about one fixed axis, so try to find out torque or net torque on the body and equate it to I alpha. If you find torque, then alpha will become torque by moment of inertia. And just before I explained you how to find the moment of inertia, one example. Then similarly, for the given system, either use parallel axis theorem or perpendicular axis theorem, then find moment of inertia, and then find, using the concept of torque, what is the net torque, then divide both of them, then you will get alpha. Now here let's take alpha is the angular acceleration at any instant, but we want initially at t equal to 0. Now if you consider how many forces are acting on this other than mg, so there is one force will act at the hinge point. But if you consider this as reference, because axis of rotation, if you take as axis of reference, then it will be better to calculate easily. So that it becomes easier to calculate when you consider axis of rotation as axis of reference. Then the torque due to this contact force, reaction force, becomes what? 0. Because the force is passing through that point, so the perpendicular distance becomes 0. So now the only torque is due to which one? Mg. So what is the torque formula? Perpendicular distance times force. What is the perpendicular distance? L by 2. This one is the perpendicular distance. Now I told you how to find the direction also in the previous session. Like if you draw the circle, now it is clockwise circle. Clockwise means what? Inward. So the body will rotate like this. So it will come down, of course. Now this torque is nothing but I alpha. So mg L by 2 equal to I. What is I? Moment of inertia. So what is moment of inertia of the rod? But don't take moment of inertia any formula. You have to find the moment of inertia of the given system or of the rotating system about the axis of rotation only. So what is the axis of rotation? Axis is passing through edge and perpendicular to the length. So what is the moment of inertia of the rod? ml square by 3. So L cancel, mm cancel. So alpha will become, take 3 this side, 3g by 2l. What is this? Initial angular acceleration. But that keep on changes because the rod rotates, then mg keep on changes direction, not magnitude. So that the torque value keep on changes, alpha also changes. Now here what is the angular velocity? What is the angular velocity of the rod when it becomes vertical? So from the horizontal position when it becomes vertical, then what happens? If you consider the center of mass, the center of mass come down by some distance. How much it is? L by 2. It decreases its height by some distance. How much? L by 2. If you use work energy theorem or conservation of mechanical energy, then decrease in potential energy converts into what? Increase in kinetic energy. So what is the decrease in potential energy? mgh. What is the increase in kinetic energy? Half I omega square. Don't take half mv square, because it is not translational motion, it is rotational motion. So that mgh equal to half I omega square. So mgh equal to half I is ml square by 3 omega square. Cancel. So height is L by 2. So L cancel, 2 cancel. So omega square is 3g by L, or omega is under root 3g by L. So this is what the angular velocity of the rod when it becomes vertical. Now the same question in a little bit different manner. Same thing, same situation. But don't release the rod from the horizontal position. You release the rod from a position just above some angle. Just above it at an angle. Let's take something. But here in the question they have given 30 degrees. Now it is at some angle above the horizontal. Then when it becomes horizontal, there is some angular velocity. Then what is that angular velocity? How to find that one? Now again take the same concept like conservation of mechanical energy. Decrease in potential energy converts into what? Kinetic energy. So that here, take it. The rod is like this now. Second question. Now the center of mass is at the center. Now what is the height of the center of mass? This is 30. This is L by 2. Now take this right angle triangle. Sin 30 equal to height h by L by 2. So h equal to L by 2 times sin 30. How much? L by 4. So the initial height from the horizontal position is h, and that h is L by 4. So when it becomes horizontal, the decrease in height of the center of mass is h. So the decrease in potential energy is mgh, nothing but mg L by 4. That must be equal to increase in kinetic energy, and the kinetic energy is half I omega square, because starting from rest there is no initial kinetic energy. So this is the final kinetic energy. So that mg L by 4 equal to half I. What is I? Moment of inertia. Whose moment of inertia? Rotating body, rod. About which axis? About the axis passing through end. That is how much? ml square by 3 into omega square. ml cancel. 2 2s are. Take this 3 this side. 3g by 2l. So that omega is under root 3g by 2l. Earlier it was 3g by l, now it is 3g by 2l, half. So anyway, this is the way you have to deal with the questions related to rotation about a fixed axis. So what are the important concepts here? Finding moment of inertia, finding torque, and then applying conservation of mechanical energy also. So that's why when I explained, or when we discussed the topic conservation of mechanical energy or work energy theorem, I told you one of the most important topic in physics, because it can be used in solving many different situations which arises in various chapters. we also use in furthermore topics also, then you will understand the greater importance of conservation of mechanical energy. Now let us take the last question here, that is, it's all about a rigid massless rod. Same way now rod, but it is massless. So now you don't have to worry much about the rod because the rod is massless. No mass, no moment of inertia. But that rod is attached by two masses. One is 5m, another one is 2m, and they are at a distance L and 2L from the fixed point P about which the rod is hinged. Now what they are asking, find alpha when it released from the rest. So now you released from rest, suppose, then you have to find the initial angular acceleration. They may ask you in which direction also, because here it is not hinged at one end. It can rotate this direction or this direction, means this can come down anti-clockwise, this can come down clockwise direction. But now we have to decide. So the resultant torque, if it is clockwise, then the body or system rotates in clockwise. So what we have to find right now? Resultant torque. To find the resultant torque, first you have to check how many torques are acting. One is due to 5m, another one is due to 2m. But we don't know the direction, let's take the vector form. Now take the magnitude with proper direction. Like clockwise, if you take positive, anti-clockwise must be negative. First one, 5 mg force is acting at a perpendicular distance L. Now this is the perpendicular distance, this is the force. Now if you take the arrow, that is anti-clockwise. Anti-clockwise means outward. This is outward, plus. This is mg, this is r bar. Now it is clockwise, so inward. So 2m g by 2mg times 2l. This is inward. One is outward, one is inward. Now this is 5 mgl. Let's take outward positive. Then inward will become negative 4 mgl. So mgl is the resultant torque. What is the resultant torque equal to? I alpha. What is alpha equal to then? mgl by I. Now the question is, what is I? Moment of inertia of the system about the axis of rotation, about this. So about the axis, now there are two masses. What is the moment of inertia of this one? 5m L square, because m r square. Similarly, plus 2m 2l whole square. So 5m L square plus 8m L square. So it is 13m L square. So that if you substitute alpha, mg L by 13m L square, L cancel, g by 13 L. So what is the angular acceleration? G by 13 L. So this way try to understand and try to solve the questions related to rotation of a rigid body about a fixed axis. Let us take one or two more examples also, so that you will get better idea to solve the questions related to this. So we discussed few questions. Let me conclude and end this session with two more questions. One of the important models and one of the logical and typical models. Let's take the first case. A disc, let's take the mass is m, radius is capital R, and it can rotate about its central axis, and it is rotating about its central axis, passing through center and perpendicular to the plane of the disc, such that the kinetic energy, what kinetic energy here? Rotational kinetic energy is proportional to square of theta. What is theta? Angular displacement. So kinetic energy is not constant, it is a function of angular displacement, where k, small k, is a constant. Now they are asking alpha. So how to find this one? The kinetic energy of a rotating body at any instant is half I omega square. But according to the given data, that is k theta square. So omega square will become k theta square 2k by I. But why I have done this? Because we need to find out alpha. Then you should get the idea that alpha is d omega by dt. Where if you know omega, then you can find alpha. So what is omega will become is root 2k by I theta. So here the omega value I found it in terms of theta, then you can go for differentiation. So here the key thing is, if you get this thought, then you will get it. So we need omega to find alpha. So how can we get the omega value from the given data? That is the logic. So that's why I used to say always think logically and sensible. So alpha equal to d omega by dt, and this is constant. So d theta by dt. What is d theta by dt? That is omega. Already we have taken the formula list previously, just in the beginning. Now alpha equal to root 2k by I. Omega is root of 2k by I times theta. So alpha equal to 2k by I times theta. So alpha is proportional to what? Theta. Like in linear motion, s is proportional to displacement. So the angular acceleration is a function of angular displacement. So this is the way differentiation, integration. So who is playing the major vital role in solving physics? Mathematics. So try to take care of that thing always to become perfect. Now similarly, let us consider one more thing, that is a pulley, or better to take one disc, is hinged at a point which is suspended from a fixed support. Now it is like it can rotate about this this horizontal axis in this manner. Now to rotate it, suppose if I apply some horizontal force capital F, I am applying a horizontal constant force F tangentially. Then what is the angular acceleration or linear velocity after some time? So they may give the numerical values also, but in generally I am explaining. Now the body will not move anywhere, it will only rotate. So what should be the reason for that? Torque. So the very first thing what you should go for is, what is the torque acting on that? So the torque tau equal to what? I alpha. So here one mg is acting, and another one is reaction force is acting, and another one is F is acting. But these two forces are passing through the axis of rotation. So the torque of these two forces is 0. So only torque of force will be there, that is force into perpendicular distance capital R equal to I, moment of inertia. I told you moment of inertia is very important. Here disk about the central axis, what is the moment of inertia? mr square by 2 times alpha. So alpha is 2f, r cancel, 2f by mr. This is the alpha. Now what is the relation between linear acceleration and angular acceleration? A equal to r alpha. So A equal to 2f by m. This is the linear acceleration. Force is constant, mass is constant. So acceleration is also constant. So what kind of translational acceleration it will have? Then A equal to 2f by m. But linear velocity means, sorry, not linear velocity, this is angular velocity. Now we have to find angular velocity. How do you find the angular velocity? Starting from rest. Now we have to find the omega after some time. So they will give time t. Then omega equal to what? Omega naught plus alpha t. So omega equal to omega naught 0 plus alpha 2f by mr times t. So what is omega? 2ft by mr. So this is the way you can apply the concept of moment of inertia, you can apply the concept of torque, you can apply the concept of conservation of energy, so that you can solve the questions related to rotation about a fixed axis. So this is all about how to deal with rotation about a fixed axis. So hope you all understood and you will follow the lectures and you will continue to practice the questions based on each lecture, and you will come back to me for any doubt regarding, as I have given my WhatsApp number. So thank you.